Candidate TV KPM.
And you might be wondering, what subject are we going to talk about today? It's definitely Kesusasteraan Inggeris, or English literature. And you're going to be curious as well. Which teacher will be teaching us these tips and tricks to answer questions for English literature? Let's take a look at her profile. Yes, you have seen it. Her name is Puan Asimah from SMK Asunta. Hi, Madam Asimah. How are you today?
I'm all right. Really good today.
You're really good and excited. And I've been informed that you have this nice brand name and I should call you Puan A.
Puan A.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Right.
And Puan A, I'm sure you have a lot to share with our pupils at home. Shall we start our lesson?
All right. Shall we?
Let's go.
Okay. Everyone who's here with Hanif and I today, welcome to what we are going to consider or call a review lesson on Kesusasteraan Inggeris, otherwise known as the KI 2206 paper. Sort of like battle preparations, because literature, as you know, Sean, uses a lot of figurative language, right?
That is
so
right.
So if we were soldiers going into war, what would be the weapons we are going to take with us? So today's review lesson is in preparation for D-Day. And D-Day is on the 22nd of March from 8 to 10:30 a.m. All of you out there, you've got your countdown before D-Day comes. It's going to be a 2-hour, 30-minute paper. Let's go. All right? This is nothing new. Of course, new to Hanif. Perhaps first time he's looking at it. Let's see if at the end of today I can convince him to register for the paper. All right.
I'm getting nervous myself.
The KI 2206 paper obviously is made up of 3 sections, A, B, and C. So candidates out there, you would already know where to place yourselves. The exam paper begins with section A, prose. Candidates would have chosen and prepared with their teacher whether they want to do 6 short stories or instead study a novel. Okay, what do you think? Would you do short stories or novel?
Wow, I might consider the one novel though, Puan A.
Okay. Then after that, in section B, you've got 1 drama to answer. And then in poetry, as you can see, these are the 10 titles. All right? So that's a quick overview of what candidates will be preparing for their battle on 22nd of March. Whether to do the 6 short stories, whether to do The Lost King or The Clay Marble, whether to do Flowers for Algernon, Merchant of Venice, or Hope Springs. All right? I'm sure candidates are going to smile when they see, because these are all the titles that they have prepared for. Okay? Now, we're going to look at the next slide here, and this is perhaps my first takeaway for today's lesson. By all means, please remember time management. The candidates only have from 8 to 10:30, and that means you pretty much have less than 2 hours and 30 minutes. How much time shall we spend on each of these questions? All right. So section A and section B, prose and drama, what is similar between the two is the fact that they are both made up of 2 questions, 15 and 20. So we would like to suggest candidates out there, please ensure you take about 50 to 55 minutes each as you go through prose and as you go through drama. And then when you get to section C, as you can see here, it's 20 minutes each perhaps, because both questions, the question A and B, is valued at 15 marks each. Now, I know I've mentioned the syllabus, I know I've mentioned time management. Perhaps candidates out there are thinking, that's all I have to do. just know my text and how much time I have. But perhaps the biggest reminder for today is to tell candidates out there, please do not forget your assessment objectives, all right? In the responses that you are going to write, all 6 that you are going to write in the 2 hours and 30 minutes, please remember that each of your 6 responses should incorporate these assessment objectives, all right? So, Hanif, first time listening, if you hear me say AO 1, 2, 3, and 4, I'm referring to these, yeah?
I'll take note.
These are assessment objectives that candidates should know and incorporate into their responses. Do you know your text well? Can you support with textual evidence? All right? And then AO2, can you show that you have been able to infer and discern underlying meaning? So this is where we want our smart kids to be able to say, I have put the pieces of the puzzle together. All right? If candidates can give us 1 and 2, half the battle is already won. All right? And then, moving on. AO3 is assessment objective 3. Can you, the candidate, show that you are able to discuss effective use of language in the text? Choice of words, choice of poetic devices, how, where, how does it make the text more important, emotionally appealing? All those go under AO3. All right, and the last AO is perhaps my personal favorite, all right? Because AO4 is where you must prove that you have been able to not just read through the text, know the text well, support by providing evidence, right? But also able to tell very clearly in your responses, I have got a personal response. You can't read through a text and be unmoved by it. You can't read through a text and say, okay, done. I've read it, the story's over, I've answered the question, that's it from me. All right? If any response is to be considered comprehensive and complete, it is one that actually also has AO4. All right, candidates are expected to be able to show mature and critical response to text. Now, how about that?
Oh, that's exciting, Puan A. And I'm curious as well, when you mention mature and critical response to text, that would mean the candidate would need to share his or her point of view on what is needed from the question?
Correct. So when we have a text that we've read through with the candidate and we have discussed, we not only discuss what's been happening within the plot. What did A do to B? How does B feel about A? We actually must eventually come to the point where we ask ourselves, how did I feel upon reading this text? Am I unmoved? Am I pleased? Am I disgusted by his behavior? All that goes into AO4. Thank you for that question.
I think that is fantastic. And I'm sure all of us as well, when we read books, when we read novels, we do have a certain emotions being evoked when you read about a certain character. And this is what Puan A is sharing with us today.
Didik TV KPM